Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we have updates on Rayan Cherki, Liam Delap and also potentially talks with Victor Osimhen. How are you doing this morning? That is not good for me. Maybe it's going to be a late fitness test for the watch along. I'll tell you what, I had a bad night last night. Gone from the cold to the throat. I'm coughing up all sorts of stuff now and that wasn't a good start. Hours of streaming ahead of me and the throat is like razor blades. But look, that's something else. I'll deal with that. I'm here to deal with the latest transfer news. It's match day today. It's the Manchester derby and we've got some positive stories. Cherki and Delap transfer hints, and are we in talks with Osimhen as well? So good stuff as well. Rayan Cherki's been talking about the future, about the game against Manchester United, and has actually sent us a verbal warning. He says he's ready to go to war. Bring it on. Not proper war, but I think this is good. It's good for Manchester United. Also, around Liam Delap, the chairman of Ipswich, making out that it's not going to be that easy for people to buy him. And Chelsea are actually linked to all three of these players, Cherki, Delap and Osimhen. Remember what I said yesterday about Chelsea and Man United? There's a weird obsession from United's side about Chelsea. All three of these players are linked to Chelsea as well. So we'll talk about that too. But before we get into it, don't let me forget. Well, I won't forget because I'm about to do it anyway. We've got a bit of trivia for you this morning. If you get this name quickly, you are a United GOAT. We're sponsored by Boohoo Man. You can get 10% off with the code Goldbridge. Get yourself some lovely clothing delivered to your door, whether jackets, t-shirts, underwear, gym wear, five-a-side wear, the lot. Delivered to your door at boohooman.com. Every discount they've got, you can add 10% with the code Goldbridge. That will go on additionally to any site-wide discounts they've got. Check it out. If you fancy getting something stylish this spring or prepping for the summer, get yourself over to Boohoo Man, get it delivered with that discount. And of course, they've got a bit of trivia for you. I was born on 9th of February 1974 in Amsterdam. I moved from Ajax youth team to Barcelona and then I joined Man United in 96, winning 3 Premier League titles. My time at United was hampered by knee injuries, playing only 34 Premier League games before moving back to Spain on loan in 99. My father is a legendary footballer who helped pioneer total football in the Netherlands and is now passed. And after retiring, that's not on there, I just added that in. And after retiring in 2010, I became Barcelona's sporting director in 22 and I'm now an advisor for the Indonesian national team. Big thank you to Boohoo Man for supporting today's show, by the way. 10% off with the code Goldbridge. Check it out. A link in the description. Scan the QR code and we'll get into the show now. But thank you to Boohoo Man. Lots of people have got it. Rufus says Jordi Alba. Definitely not Rufus. But Shah, Jim Jones, our members both got it. It is, of course, Jordi Cruyff. Well done for getting that. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let's start off with Cherki then, because I think that this story is quite significant. It's coming in from Fabrizio Romano. And look, to be a bit positive here, Cherki's 21. So people might say things like, wow, at the end of the day, he's another learner driver. But I don't necessarily agree with that with Cherki because he's actually played over 140 games for Lyon and a lot of that has been in Europe, in the Champions League. In fact, in 2020, he played in a Champions League semi-final against Bayern Munich, becoming the youngest ever player to feature in one. So we talk about experience and I think it's really important to say that, you know what? Rufus says, my bad, no worries. You know what? I think it's really important this. Whether we sign Rayan Cherki or not, we talk about not wanting learner drivers and we talk about wanting experience. And maybe sometimes we do get a little bit ageist. Oh, I don't want players under 22. But you might have somebody who's going to be 22 this summer like Cherki, who has a vast amount of experience in European football and the French league. For Lyon, who are a team that always plays in Europe. So he's played a ridiculous amount of games for Lyon. Like, he's played 140 games. That's a lot of games, like, for a 21-year-old. So I would say that I wouldn't see Cherki as a learner driver. And obviously, he's got to come into the Premier League and he's still young. But I think he'd be a halfway house. There are players we're linked to where I go, we don't need another learner driver. But I think there are players like Cherki where I go, well, he's going to play in the midfield. And, I don't think that's a terrible appointment because of the experience he's got in the Champions League, in the Europa League. Look, the French League, Jonathan David would be classed as experienced because he's nearly 25. But and he's played a bit of European football. So why would Rayan Cherki not be considered an experienced player at 20, going to be 22 in the summer? He's played a lot of French league football, but he's also played a lot of European football. So I think it would be a good signing. I wouldn't class him as a learner driver. I think there'd be an adjustment period, of course there would. But the interesting thing about Cherki is, and he said yesterday after Lyon's game, we're ready to go to war against Man United on Thursday. Good. I want players to perform against us. I want us to beat him. I want him to play well. I want us to beat him. I want him to be impressed by us. I want him to come off that pitch at Old Trafford a week on Thursday going, this is where I want to play. This is the club I want to play for. That's what I want to happen, but I want him to play well. And also, I think the price tag is really interesting. Now, I'm going to bow down to some of the experts in the chat here. I was listening to Fabrizio Romano yesterday. He said the release clause is £25 million, but it's not without its complexities. Those complexities, I believe, and I might be wrong on this, is that Dortmund really think they're going to get him in the summer, and Dortmund have nearly got him a couple of times. And I think Dortmund nearly got him in January, but there's a problem. Is it Trexor or Trexler, who's like the CEO or the sporting director at Lyon? Apparently there's been a fallout between him and the player, because there was a verbal agreement on a release clause of £25 million. But it's a verbal agreement. Now, apparently in France, verbal agreements are quite, they're legal. I wouldn't trust a verbal agreement in anything in the UK. But, there is potentially a £25 million release clause. Now, I'd agree with what Fabrizio Romano said. That is a ridiculous price for an attacking midfielder who is only 21, 22 in the summer. And there will be a lot of competition for him. But I don't know the complexities of that release clause, or, we probably wouldn't pay the release clause anyway. We'd probably offer them 30 and give them 7 million over the next 4 years or something like that, which is still a really good deal. So for me, it ticks a lot of boxes. I mean, I'm going to say this. I'm not on the Cherki bandwagon like some of you are. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him play in the next couple of games against United. He certainly ticks a lot of boxes for what we're looking for in the position we're looking for. And at that price, it is a steal. And if you pay a little bit more than the release clause, I'm sure Lyon, like we did with Yoro, we paid more than anybody else to pay less over the next 5 years. I think there's something that can be done there. But I like this deal. I think he has got experience, even though he's young. I think it is a good price, and I think you could pay more than the release clause to spread it out a little bit. And we do need a player like this. So I might be quite negative or concerned about some of the players we've been linked to because they're very young. And I don't think Liam Delap is the same as Cherki, even though he's slightly older. I think Liam Delap is a player that's played one season in the Premier League, coming into a strike force that's very young. I think Cherki has played a lot of European football and is coming into an area of the pitch where we do have some decent players that I think he can work with, the likes of Bruno, the likes of Ahmad. So I quite like this player, and I quite like this deal. The negatives are that I don't think we're going to be the only club looking at him. I've even heard Liverpool be linked to him. And as always, Chelsea are there. Chelsea are there again. Chelsea want Cherki. So every player we want seems to be linked to Chelsea. And I don't know whether it's because Vival at Chelsea has just basically taken what they were looking at and brought it to United. There's no problem with that. And I don't know whether it's because Sir Jim Radcliffe has got somebody telling him who Chelsea are looking at. I don't know, but it's another player that Chelsea are looking at. But I do like this player. Rajav says Delap is good, but he's not the type of player we need. If we use the terrible sell-to-buy plan, we need experience. We cannot offload Garner, Alanga 2.0. Thank you. Well, moving on to Delap. Very interesting update on Liam Delap this morning. So yesterday morning, we broke it. Very good source from the club. The same one who told me about Amrin wanting Onana out. Man United are confident that they can get Delap. They've done a lot of work on it. They can do a cheap deal, 40 million quid, spread it out over 5 years. Striker, very, very cheap compared to a Gyökeres or an Osimhen. They really like this. Jason Wilcox is pushing it. Even Amrin, in his press conference, said that Jason Wilcox, what did he say? I'll read it out to you now. This is what he said about Jason Wilcox. This is hot off the press because it came from the embargoed section last night, so this only came out at 10 o'clock last night. He said how he plans to be successful with a small budget, which concerns me that he's already acknowledging he's got a small budget. He said, in relation to a small budget, we were in a similar position with Sporting. Maybe it was a little bit lower, but this is different. Jason Wilcox has to be good in recruitment. We have to know our system. So Ruben Amorim is basically putting it out there that Jason Wilcox is the guy that makes the decisions. To me, this verifies what I was told yesterday morning. Like, I was told yesterday morning that we're confident we're getting Delap. This is the guy we want. Jason Wilcox wants him. This is the guy we're going for. You've then got Amorim saying Wilcox is basically in charge. So I think this is the guy we're going to go for. Now, interestingly, the chairman of Ipswich has said, we won't sell Delap cheap. We're not in a position where we even need to sell. There is always a time when a player naturally has to go, but fortunately, we're not in a desperate position to sell. So what does that mean? Basically means they're going to get a good price. They will sell. There's no way Delap's going to want to go down to the Championship, and I think the Ipswich chairman alluded to that. There's a time when you have to do a deal, but when we do that deal, we don't have to do it cheap because of the way the club's run. I think Ipswich is I don't know. Apparently Ipswich is quite a well-run club. So he's basically saying, look, Delap's for sale, of course, if we go down, but we won't be doing a stupid deal that doesn't benefit us. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean, I think Delap, look, Man United are confident they're going to do this deal. I was told we're confident we're going to blow Chelsea out of the water and we'll get the deal done. You've got to go with that source because it's good. But I then look at it and go, what if West Ham come in and go, there's £45 million up front? Man United have got to match it. So, look, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Also, the same article mentioned that, and I don't necessarily believe this bit. The chairman quote was directly from their chairman, which is Mark Ashton. But they also said in the same article, Liam Delap wants European football, and therefore Chelsea could be quite an advantage to him. I don't know why Liam Delap, having one season in the Premier League at Ipswich, would suddenly demand European football. I don't. If he's wanting that, fair play, but, run before you can walk, mate. You've had one season in the Premier League, and now you want European football. I think it's a nice to have. I don't think, you're not Victor Osimhen, and you're not Victor Gyökeres. Like, they're going to demand Champions League football because they're used to playing it. I don't think Liam Delap can say, I don't fancy United because you're not in Europe. I think that sounds a little bit far-fetched to me. Having said that, one thing that did drop into my head, if Chelsea, and this is a big if Chelsea were in a position to get the Delap deal done early, they can literally say to him, you're up front for the Club World Cup. So Man United are apparently really confident about Delap, and Jason Wilcox is really confident, etc. But if Chelsea wanted to push it and they had the money to push it, they could say to Cherki, they could say to Delap, they could say to any of their players, sign for us in the first week of June, you come into the Club World Cup. So, that might be a little bit of a carrot for Chelsea. But I don't know whether they've got the money to do that in early June. They don't strike me as the club that has, because obviously the financial year ends at the end of June. And I would imagine Chelsea are at the limit of that. But, we'll have to wait and see. But interesting, the Delap race is on. It's Chelsea as well. But United, as I said yesterday, very, very confident. Now, let me talk to you about this. Then. So, this came in last night. Don't know anything about this source, really. Il Mattino, at Mattino di Napoli. 292,000 followers on X. The largest newspaper in the South. Followers to receive all the news in real time. So, I presume this is a media and news company from South Italy. Well, that's what it is. Basically, they're saying Napoli sporting director Giovanni Mana is in London to hold talks with Man United and Chelsea over Victor Osimhen. Napoli are open to negotiating with United and Chelsea over a favourable fee to prevent Juventus from signing Osimhen. Now, what do you think about that? I think about that and I go, I don't believe it. Because you are southern Italy's biggest outlets putting a story out about Osimhen that benefits Napoli to boost his price. I've played the game. So, he could be in London talking to Chelsea. Could be in London to have a look at Big Ben. You know, I don't really think that... I don't think we're in talks for people like Delap, and then we're in talks for people like Osimhen. I just don't. I really, really don't. I don't think Man United are negotiating confidently for Delap, where they can pay $8 million a year over the next 5, and then they're negotiating with Osimhen, where it's going to cost them about $65 million up front. I just don't see it. Look, maybe if we get Champions League football, I will always throw that in. Champions League football changes the game a little bit because there's far more revenue coming in, and maybe that's what happens. And maybe if we don't get Champions League football, we try and get Delap. But if he wants European football, he might not come. If we do get Champions League football, maybe we push for Osimhen. I think. By the way, Gyökeres is going to Arsenal. I don't really want to acknowledge it because it annoys me, but lots of reports over the weekend from Portugal that Gyökeres has been very impressed by Arsenal. He's held talks with them. I think this is directly linked to Andrea Berta, who's become their director of football. I think United should have been looking at him, to be honest with you. But, you know, we've got Wilcox, so, you know, he's a legend, apparently. But, look, Wilcox has got a lot to prove. I think Berta is an elite sporting director, and I don't think we're looking for an elite sporting director who goes out and gets elite players. I think we're looking for somebody who knows youth football, and that's what Wilcox is good at. But anyway, Gyökeres, I think, is going to be wearing an Arsenal shirt, and it's going to piss me off every single week next season. Every single week, it's going to piss me right off watching Gyökeres play up front for Arsenal. But I think that's where it's going. This is not the Arsenal stand; it's the United stand. And but Gyökeres is a player I would like. It's a player that you would like, and I think, if I'm being honest, from what I'm hearing, he's heading to Arsenal. But bring it back to United. That leaves Osimhen as the only other experienced top-level striker. Maybe if we get Champions League, we're in talks. But again, it's Chelsea again, innit? You know, Osimhen's in talks with Man United in London, with Man United and Chelsea. And it just seems everything we're doing at the moment, Cherki, Delap, Kenda, Chelsea, Man United, and again, that's where we're at with that. Hi, Mark. Who would be a better replacement for Arna and why? Costa or James Trafford? Well, I think Costa's a better goalkeeper than James Trafford, and I think he would be what Amrin wants. But Trafford will be cheaper, so I think we would go for Trafford over Costa, but obviously I'd prefer Costa. Rub says, since last night, got sick, cold and little fever. Mate, I don't really get sick anymore, you know, I don't. I think this, Mrs. Goldbridge says it's clearly a cold and a virus, and I'm like, I don't get colds and viruses. I said this is hay fever. It's just, I've obviously got the eye watering, the nose watering, it's infected, you know, the back of my nose and ended up with a throat, you know, but I'm convinced it's all a kick on from hay fever. But she's saying, why have you got a fever then? Why have you got a sore throat? I'm like, because it's called hay fever. You know, it's not rocket science. Chelsea won't be signing anyone. They lost the appeal with UEFA trying to sell the ladies' team to show profits, says Joe. Maybe that's why Man United are confident over Delap then, Joe. I can only tell you what I'm told. Am I right that the Premier League transfer window closes before the start of the season? No, that's not true, Patrick. We do need to make deals quickly, I agree, but that has not actually... It was a rumour that it was going to happen, but it's not happened. The transfer window opens on June the 1st until June the 10th, closes for 3 days, and then opens on June the 13th all the way through till September the 1st. So, yeah. Who would be... I've done that one from Sud as well. So, yes, there's your updates on Cherki, on Delap, and on Osimhen. That's your 3 bits of transfer news this morning. Just a couple of other bits coming in from Amarim. Interestingly, he clarified... Remember we were talking about it... When was the show? It must have been Friday night. You know, where he said, I only need 1 or 2 players, big players. And a lot of people were getting angry saying, well, you need way more than 2 players. And I was saying, I think what he's talking about is he needs 1 or 2 big players and then, you know, 3 or 4, you know, maybe development players, etc. Well, he clarified it. He said, I shouldn't have said that. It's about characteristics that we don't have in our squad. I tried to see the gaps we have in our squad And when I talk about great players, it's not about Real Madrid players, etc. They are great players in the way I see the game. So what he's saying is that exactly what we were talking about on Friday night. He thinks that the team is missing one or two great players. It doesn't mean he only wants one or two players. So effectively, he's probably saying he wants another one or two Brunos in that team. And he's right. You know, and that's why we talk about Cunha, Frimpong, Gyökeres, Edison, Costa. We need one or two of those. We need two, really. I think we need three, but that's exactly what he's talking about. We need two top quality players, and then, you know, your normal transfers, basically, your development transfers. And that doesn't mean they're 19. You know, Agate's not a great player. We bought him at 25. Agate wouldn't be one or two great players. Agate would just be a supplementary transfer that you hope is going to settle in, but he wants one or two great players, and I understand what he means by that. He also said that sometimes because of injuries, you find out something that will be important in the future. He's found out that Garnacho can play on the right, and I found out that Heaven is ready to stay in our squad, and maybe we can change the way we're going to the market. There are always good things and bad things. I mean, that worries me a little bit, that with Heaven coming through, he's not looking for a centre-back anymore, because I think we need a right-sided centre-back. So hopefully he was saying that we were looking at two centre-backs, and now we're looking at one, because I think Heaven does solve a problem at left centre-back, but we certainly, I think, need more centre-backs, one more at least. Would be, you know, really, really important to us. What else was there? Was something else. Oh, and Ahmad, he says, I think he will be ready for the last matches, but we will see. And that direct quote from Rayan Cherki was, we are ready to go to war with them in relation to Manchester United. Look, I know people find the word war sensitive, but this is football. He is not going to bring weapons. He is going to bring determination, effort, and passion. I like that. If he was in a Man United shirt and he said, you know, when we play Man City today, we're ready to go to war against them, you'd be excited. It's not. Don't get bloody woke about it. Like, he's just talking about they're ready to battle. Bring it on. Exactly, says Savage said. Look, if you want. These are the sort of players I want. I want the Cunhas. I want the passion. I want people like this who are passionate. So bring it on. You know, if we're not ready to match that passion, then who are we? Exactly. Who are we? Is Mount injured again, says Josh? As far as I know, he's in the team today. Oh, not the team. I didn't mean to say that. I mean, I think he's in the squad. Bloody hell. James Cave says, I read that Jonathan David would cost 30 million with all the signing fees, their upfront costs, so it makes more sense that United will go to Delap like deals, says James. This has been said many times before, and it's very, very true. Artie says there's a good goalkeeper. I forget which club he plays for, but his name is Chevalier. Could be a good replacement for Onana. I think he's at Lille, mate. Very, very good. Yeah, just going back to what James Cave said, I've said this to you before. Free transfers are not necessarily what people think they are. You look at someone like Christian Eriksen. Oh, he was a free transfer. 150 grand a week. Wages over what he was worth. What was the signing on fee? So, you know, you say free transfers are great, but there's a lot of hidden costs. There'll be a big signing on fee for the age. I mean, look, even Xerxes, people said, what a bargain at 36 million. What's Xerxes' wage? There was a reported agent fee of millions. So a free transfer ain't necessarily a good deal. Like, there could be massive bonuses in that. Because basically, if I'm Jonathan David and Newcastle want me and Man United want me and Chelsea want me, and Man United say, okay, we think you're worth about 100 grand a week. Come and play for us. And then Newcastle go, well, we'll give you 125 grand a week and we'll give you 10 million signing on fee and we'll give your agent 5 million. And then he comes back to Man United and goes, if you want me, it's 125 grand a week and it's 15 million, 10 to me and 5 to my agent. So you're overpaying on his wage and you're pumping 15 million in straight away. So look, they're just numbers. I don't know, but that's how it works. Free agents are very rarely cheap. There's hidden fees that you pay. Look at Haaland. On paper, Man City paid 60 million for Haaland. Double it. double it and maybe add some more. I mean, this is the world of football. You don't know contracts about what they earn. You don't know whether players get paid when they're injured because they're insured. There's loads we don't know about the world of football because it's in everybody's interest to keep it quiet. Young players, you're not meant to be able to offer incentives to teenagers to get them at your club. Still goes on. Football, massively the Wild West. All sorts of stuff goes on. So, yeah, the Haaland deal, tens of millions of pounds went to other places to get that deal done. And it's well known in the industry, but it never gets reported because it's not in the interest of everybody to report it. And that's with a player that, same as Xerxes, the fee wasn't 36 million. People go, 36 million. What about the millions we paid to the agent? They never get added on. But they should, because it costs us money. There's hidden costs. My throat today. I sound like bloody Carragher. There's hidden costs. Bring Buongiorno from Inter and Reinders from Milan, says Enchanted Angels. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go and rest the throat because I need to be on form for the Manchester Derby later. What time does the Manchester Derby kick off? I would say it's kicking off at 4:30, but you never know with these sort of games. Sometimes they're a little bit early. No, 4:30. We will be live from about 3 o'clock then, and I'll be live with you from 4 o'clock. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Absolute legends this morning. I'm just going to go and not talk for about 5 hours now just to rest the vocal cords. God, I'm struggling. My worry is it's just going to go. And if it goes, I'll be like, gone. But take care, everyone. Stay safe. Good updates this morning. Interesting. I would take Cherki. I'm not that interested in Delap. Obviously, I'd take Osimhen. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care. I think we will get Delap, though. I'm realistic. I think we will. Oh, come on. It won't let me end the stream. Oh, God. It's all going wrong today. It's all going wrong today.